me tell you why.
Let's see.
How these stimulants work is they don't make you smarter. You know what I mean?
So
there's different kinds of ways we can affect the brain.
got the hardest part done. I'm thinking we should just drop in the motherboard now. I still have the drives to do and the RAM, and those are fairly. Motherboard is the hardest.
The stimulants don't do that, right? They don't improve your memory. They don't really improve your what they do is they just stimulate your brain. And because the frontal lobes
So,
are engaged,
a lot of people don't like FXX or XFX, but I have nothing but good experiences from them. They have a lifetime warranty. And if you're going to overclock, which I intend to do, you want to have a warranty that you can get behind. So,
especially good for people
it's 8 gigs, has Ghost 3 Plus, which I guess I have Ghost 2.0 on my old XFX. 7 extended heat pipes, and unlocked voltage. This one's completely unlocked. It's, I guess, what they call their Black Edition. I don't really know. It's a bunch of marketing shit. But it's a very good graphics card, and it's brand fucking new. AMD came out with them, the 300 series, a couple months back. I feel like more than a couple, but you get the gist. Boxing is very, very basic. Like compared to AMD, or not AMD, but Asus. Thought about Asus. I don't think there's anything in here. Oh, there is something in here. Driver disc. Don't ever use them. Another cable. Another cable. Driver installation guide. Never use them. Might need one of these. We will see. Warranty card. Keep them. Always good to have.
there is an underlying question here that I'm really dying to hear what you guys have to say, particularly you, Steve, of course. The question is, are there any ethics behind the use of a drug to simply enhance human cognition? Well, you have to look at the long-term effects. A lot of times these kinds of effects develop tolerance, and those work well over time. Caffeine is one notorious for that. You basically get tolerance to stimulants caffeine for 3 weeks. So you're just eating a monster, which you're getting back to your baseline and staying off withdrawal, basically, at that point again. This is different.
Kind of scared it's not going to fit, but we shall see. Probably should take PCI brackets off before I shove that in.
It doesn't have a lot of tolerance. What are the ethical questions? I don't have a simple answer for you. I think the short answer is it depends.
I guess I'm glad that
you context,
didn't have an answer. Yeah, it is contextually. You have to know a lot more about the drug. If we could throw in a lot of things right now, just having fun with the idea. Like, yes, it would be totally safe and all that, but the fact of the matter is, we don't know that, and the authors even point that out. It's not licensed for this use. Don't use it for this. There's a lot more studying that needs to be done. And there's
I don't know the ethics of it, Jay, but that's what caffeine is. Caffeine is a legal drug that's massively used as a brain stimulant by a lot of people. And you don't think for a second about the ethics of caffeine use, right?
Well, caffeine is also very cheap and easy to get a hold of. And when I have conversations about these kinds of ethical dilemmas, I often think about where the divide is between rich and poor and how that can have an effect on the future as well. Especially, I think it comes up even more often when we talk about like genetic engineering and menu designer babies. Is that you're going to have a whole class of people of access.
These thumb screws are supposed to come all the way out.
Because they're
Can't see my cram.
And then you're going to have
these are supposed to come all the way out.
Into poverty. You're just going to
Takes up 2 slots on the rear. Damn, I didn't see that. It's tight.
So two interesting things here, guys, that I think need to go along with this discussion are there are other, like Steve said, there's other smart drugs.
I think I took one extra off from disposal. Yeah, I did.
That's the dream like speed, right? Like,
These are all speed. These are all but those are the older stimulants that are not as specific as the modafinils or the morphine. Yeah, more dangerous. You know, I hate to kind of put it in this scope, but it's like, you know, culturally, drugs are, you know, these types of drugs are being more, they're out there, they're easier to get, you know, that type of stuff. It's just more people are using them and don't think much about it. And I think that's crazy. It's crazy, guys. If you're in school, somebody offers you a drug that'll help you, you know what? Freaking study harder and don't do it because you don't know what the hell that stuff's going to do. Well, here's another aspect of this, health-wise. Yeah, I think that most people, particularly if you're young and healthy, right? You're in your teens or 20s and you're in school and you're not alert. Chances are you're not alert because you're not sleeping enough or well enough. If there's a pill that can make you feel alert, that's a lot easier than fixing your sleep problems. And so that essentially eliminates some of the incentive for addressing your sleep issues. But it's probably true. I mean, the data suggests that, you know, lack of sleep has a host of health problems. It's one of those things that
Cool.
lifespan. People with the ignoring of sleep issues are a host of health problems they have because the one problem that is easily treatable symptomatically with a medication.
I really like it.
And so they'll just take the pill rather than fix their sleep, and that's not a good thing.
So what do you think, Steve? I mean, this is a little off topic, but I've always been interested in this. I've read multiple studies that seem to have the result that the school day as it's structured right now is not optimal for the children.
Yeah, there's a lot of, this is a different topic, you know, but I think sleep already. There's a lot of research that's beginning to show that the school day really is suboptimal. High school starts too soon.
Got a big giant backplate on it. It says XFX. It's really nice.
It seems like that the kids just don't have enough time to really optimally do their work. I know my daughter is a junior and she's had second day of school and she's overwhelmed. I mean, she literally spent her entire weekend doing homework. So anyway, it seems like it's a lot of balance. You know, there isn't anybody also coordinating. It's like each teacher is doing their own thing, and they're not necessarily coordinating with each other. So
And it's not evidence-based. I mean, the school year, the school day, it's all just tradition. Like, when do they start? When do they leave? It's not evidence-based at all.
it's all tradition-based, exactly. Like, you know, or fan-based, even worse. You know. All right, Bob, I understand that physicists are claiming that they've finally broken the standard model.
That's kind of what they're claiming, and I'm pretty excited about it. Just to sum it up quickly, researchers have produced a distinct confirmation of an anomaly in particle
Cool thing about new
theory as predicted.
R series is, you know, something missing. Let's see where it is on my old graphics. Yep.
And when I saw the
The crosshair bridge isn't required in the new AMD series cards. I thought it was kind of cool, but I guess some people might not.
So many detours for physics. So the big thing,
Not that I'm going to crossfire this anytime soon. This is already a massive card, and it just barely fits. I'll have to tilt it.
Of the universe and their interactions. And this model has pretty much reduced everything, I think over 100 different particles down to 12 fundamental particles. Everything is either 6 quarks or 6 leptons. That's pretty much it. Plus all the force carriers, of course.
I have to take these off to fit it through, apparently.
Gravitons, etc. Higgs, the Higgs.
Interesting that one of those
that was the last
DVI
particle predicted by
things are cracked.
that was found. And it's kind of like left an opening, like, well, they were searching for this previously, but now it's like, wow, we really got to do something about this. And that's one reason is because the standard model doesn't explain everything. It doesn't talk about gravity, it doesn't talk about dark matter and dark energy, so huge holes in the standard model.
It works as far as it goes, but it doesn't go deep enough.
Exactly. Or maybe perhaps wide enough. Okay, a little bit better. So now it looks like we may have some decent evidence for some physics beyond the standard model, and it starts with the Large Hadron Collider, of course.
You push it in until you hear it click. Hold it up. Don't let it lean.
Detector at the Large Hadron Collider,
And then you put in
data from 2010,
the old
2013. This is the the first run. They weren't even looking at the stuff that's being produced now. And they went through that stuff and they found some interesting things. Now, you have to understand what the LAC does. It smashes protons together and looks at the debris.
So
That's
when I was done, I decided to swap the
the debris that they're
fans
looking at, though, isn't just debris for protons.
again.
It's not like if you smash two toy cars together and
On
like,
the
oh,
inner-
I found some
or
wheels
the
over here,
radiator.
I found some seats over here. No, it's more like smashing two toy cars together and then finding enough parts for 3 or 4 cars in the debris. It's like, whoa, how did that happen? And that's what I'm sure a lot of you would know. That's from essentially E equals mc squared. The energy of motion put into the colliding protons comes out as mass. So you put in energy, you get more mass. So that's why there's just so much stuff being produced. And here's something that I really wasn't too, that I kind of learned just the past couple of days. The collisions aren't very straightforward. You're not colliding protons, right? You're
That's
colliding
a weird problem.
quarks. Obviously, each proton has 3 quarks, but you're also colliding the force-carrying gluons. They also are the collision. And there's even more than that. Gluons themselves are constantly morphing into quark
Got
and
thumb
quark
screws stuck on my fan covering.
collisions as well. You've got just a simple proton. You've got all sorts of different collisions that can happen. Quark on quark, quark on gluon.
I'm gonna have to get some tweezers for that.
All these different things. So that's why you've got such a plethora of debris coming out. Some of the particles that come out are mesons. So this is a quark antiquark particle that lasts for just a fraction of a microsecond. It just briefly pops into existence and then decays. And it's that decay that this experiment has been looking at, because when a meson decays, some of the particles that it decays into are what's called leptons. Now, everybody should know what leptons are. They're awesome. They're fundamental particles, and there's 2 types of them. There's charged and uncharged. And the most famous of the charged leptons is what? It's the electron. That of course is oh my God, without the electron, nothing would be the same. Electrons are tied to all chemical reactions that happen, and it's also the basis, of course, of all of our electronics. I mean, what's an electronic device? An electron. It's the most famous system. But an electron is only one type of charged lepton. There's 2 others that are electron-like. One of them is the gluon, which is 105 times as massive as the electron, but it's unstable. It only lasts for a couple millionths of a second. The other type of charged lepton is a tau, and that is similarly unstable. Get this, it has a mass of 1,777 times that of an electron. This is a really, really chubby subatomic particle, amazing mass. So now we got to go back to
So I'm gonna take it out because
all of these
causing concern now.
electrons, taus, and gluons, they should behave the same way. So when a meson decays, there should be no preference for more electrons or more tau. It should all be treated the same way. Of course, once you account for the differing masses. So this is called lepton universality, and this is a very, very important standard model. Leptons should just be the same. There should be no preferential treatment.
And there it is. So we'll do that bottom one first this time. That way we make sure it's put in the right.
Because they found more of one type of lepton than another type of lepton. It was not symmetrical as the theory predicts. That in and of itself is really interesting, but it could just be an anomaly. I mean, that happens in these types of experiments all the time. But there was a discovery in 2012 that magnified the impact of this discovery. Another experiment in 2012, it's called the Babar experiment at the Stanford Linear Accelerator Center. They did a similar experiment and got similar results. But the really cool thing is that they weren't smashing protons together, smashing elephants together. Not elephants, close. Get rid of just remove the lepton. It's the electrons. They were smashing electrons together, not protons. And Steve, as you're well aware, as we're all well aware, replicating an experiment is great if you want to increase your confidence. But if you can replicate it using a different methodology, that's even better, because then you can really be more confident that you have a handle on something that's fundamental. So what does this mean? This means, according to Hassan Jawahari, who is a professor of physics, and I think he's one of the leading
producer John. Don Hassan John.
Oh, Jay, don't even go there.
Who's Bugs Bunny?
When I was writing this, Jay, that quote occurred to me. It's one of those things.
There you go.
Yes, it's stuck in our mind.
You plug power into it.
Said that out loud. Okay, that's fine. So
Need to make sure all the fans work.
is truly a tried in the
We'll
standard
drop the RAM in now since we're already here.
Personality is broken. We can save
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure
So this is the best
Asus has a different RAM configuration than most desktops, as in you have to put it in
It could be
certain
the
slots.
standard model is wrong because it's unaware of some other particle or some other force that is interfering with the Meson decay process. And if the standard model doesn't know about it, you can't account for it. And then if we discover them and find these new fields or particles, then then the standard model would conceivably say, oh, okay, of course, this is what would happen.
Yeah.
So now we got to get a little bit back down to reality. This is great news, but remember, even though this is replicated, we can't just assume this is true. The observed differences that have been measured have only a significance of 2.6 standard deviations. So that means there's only a 1 in 100 chance that what we're seeing is due to just some weird statistical fluctuation. So that's not even close to the gold standard. So they've got to be able to increase their confidence further, and they're going to be actually taking more measurements from that first data set from the LHC.
Yeah, you put it in the red first, and then you put it in the black.
New data that's going to come pouring in from the LHC's second monitor, which is ramping up right
Yeah.
now. So keep an eye on this. This is pretty interesting. This is opening up a whole new world of physics.
Yeah, but what's great is that they're basically looking for anomalies. They're looking for stuff that breaks the theory, because that will point the direction towards new phenomena. Yeah.
Right, and anomaly hunting is great for scientists, but not for pseudoscientists.
Well, the thing is, that's the beginning, right? You start with
Yes.
anomaly. It's not the end. You can't then declare that you have something. It's what you have is we don't know. That's my definition of an anomaly. That's just the beginning of the process. The problem with pseudoscientists is they should add
First Corsair RAM I've ever bought. I've heard nothing but good things about the coolers. That's why I bought one.
Recently ended a long dispute, a long controversy over the nature of
Notch goes top. Asus motherboards, at least this motherboard, you put red in first.
Specifically,
Make sure you open up
creationists claim
the tab before you shove it in as well.
pictoglyph, a drawing on rock of a pterosaur. If you look at the picture, it's like in red ochre, like these beige sandstone. So it looks like if you look at the picture at first glance, it looks like a pterosaur. You can see it. I mean, you can totally see it. It's got the two legs from this wide pelvis. It's got a
Again, notch goes up.
and two wing-like things to either side. It's not perfect. But yeah,
You should hear 2 clicks or 1 big click.
pterosaur, okay, sure, I see it.
Yeah, but it also just kind of looks like a bird.
Or a bird, right. You could say that, well, even that is not what it is. So when experts look at it, and people who actually
RAM is in.
talking about, are experts in
Okay,
the kinds of figures.
so now I'm going to put in the drives.
They looked at it and said, no, there's actually
Oh wow, I thought something was inside my hard drive. That's the Seagate I had before, and this is the Samsung. Samsung looks so much smaller, and well, it is, and so much more efficient. Another thing about this is just for sanity's sake, to some degree, you'd want to make sure you put the first thing you want to boot on the PC or the SATA 6.1. Reason for this is because some motherboards have a preferred port for the boot drive, and that could affect your speed.
That was the dispute. Creationists started open dinosaurs that, the ancient reptiles, pterosaurs were not dinosaurs, but, but ancient reptiles at that time lived at the same time as people, therefore, young Earth creationism. And then the actual experts saying, no, you're completely misinterpreting these drawings. So, what Margaret Rowe did is he did a further examination of these rock drawings using technology. Right, so he did de-stretch, which is a digital enhancement, a photographic enhancement, and he also did X-ray fluorescence. Now, what these did is allow
fluorescence, and then you see the picture before and the after picture where the red ochre is showing up, sharply, and it's obvious. I mean, it's no question, it's 5 figures. It's 2 human figures, a snake-like figures, and 2 animals. One looks like some kind of deer, antelope, and another one. They're probably 2 deer. One has horns, one doesn't.
Is that a big snake? I'm trying to bite the guy's
It kind of looks like that. Some kind of snake-like creature.
Oh yeah, it's a scary one.
Yeah. But I mean, this is case closed. I mean, you can't fight that. This is what the ochre is. I know. There's no way to fight it. This is totally objective. It just removes the subjectivity from these drawings. Great technique. So this is over. Then the question becomes: will the young Earth creationists accept these findings? Will they stop it? So there's one young Earth creationist, Vance Nelson, who said, "I completely agree with their findings, and they did a good job."
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he said, "Yeah,
I don't believe you, really?
No, it's what he said. And he said, "I'm disappointed they still referenced me in the paper because I don't stand by that interpretation anymore." So he's basically saying, "All right, I agree with you guys. You proved your point. It's done. I'm not going to, abandon my previous claims." But of course, there are other creationists who haven't said that, right? Who are still holding on. But so the one guy that Nelson, who was promoting it, looked at it and said, "Yeah, I mean, it's undeniable. What are you saying?"
Wow, we should get him over to our side.
Yeah, right.
He's got the workings of a scientist.
I have had conversations with a couple of creationists who I think honestly try to be scientific, just overwhelmed with misinformation and motivated reasoning, but you can at least convince them on a narrow point because they understand enough about science and they're trying to be scientific. So like in a case like this, it would be insanity not to agree with these findings. It would be insanity because it's so blatantly obvious. It would completely squander any credibility if you try to hold on to your pterosaur interpretation in the light of this evidence.
But they don't agree with radiocarbon dating.
They probably squandered whatever they had.
Yeah, but this is just another level. This is anyway, very, very. I love the fact that the dispute.
So I believe it's the top one on the SATA.
Scientific dispute, but you can see how a layperson can look at that picture and think, okay, I can see a pterosaur, but now it's totally done. Science has done. Okay.
None of this would have happened if this guy was just a good artist.
Well, it's not a reputation of work here. That's a joke, but that's ultimately the experts recognize the artistic tradition and could therefore properly interpret what was being drawn. Okay. So the last news item for today is the death of Oliver Sacks. Kara, I was just finishing the post-production of the amazing meeting private recording that we did. George interviewed all of us, Richard Saunders, for 2 hours. I split it up into a part 1 and part 2 that's available as premium content for our premium members.
So it didn't change your phone configuration.
You talked about how much Oliver Sacks meant to you.
Yeah, I actually, and this is not common for me, but I woke up this morning and looked at Twitter like I always do, and actually one of my very best friends who just finished medical school had texted me and told me that she read that he passed away. She's on the East Coast, so she was up before me, and how sad it must be for me because she knew how instrumental he was and how I introduced him to a lot of my friends, and I started crying. Like I woke up crying. It's a weird thing because I've never met him. We've crossed paths in other ways, like friends of friends and people that I know. Even just now, his nephew posted on my Facebook. I did a post about how instrumental he was, and his nephew posted that that they're all at a loss. And so, but oh my gosh, like he's the reason I went into neuroscience. He really is. The first time I read The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, it was done for me. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he was 82, so good. Yeah, it's a good run. It's not
He had cancer for a long time.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a long time. Like 15 years ago, he had a tumor removed from his eye, and so he was blind, or partially blind. In that one eye. And he wrote a lot about that, about perception, and he had always had hallucinations and had weird scintillations in his eye, and see things like colors and visuals. But only since February did he find out that it had metastasized. So he, just the past few months, was he terminally ill.
Yeah, obviously you know, impacted the same way, but that was sad because Sandy was 6'2". Yeah, so he definitely, you could say, yeah, got away too soon. He just, you know, would have been nice for another 10, 20 years out of him. You know, think about everything that's happened in the secular movement since he died. Maybe he could have been part of that. It would have been awesome. Oliver Sacks, it's you know, very sad that you know he had cancer and that he died, but it's not the same thing. There isn't that regret that he died too young. It's a nice age.
Yeah, he wrote a beautiful piece about it in February in the New York Times. I recommend everybody read it called My Early Life. Yeah, it was learning that he had terminal cancer and what it was going to be for him for the final months of his life.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah. And you know, I as a physician, you know, I'm giving terminal diagnoses to patients, and people who are in their 70s, 80s react very differently than people who are young, who are 40s, 50s, even 60s, and it makes perfect sense. It was amazing to me.
So I'm gonna lower these because it seems the HDMI port's a little high.
Neurodegenerative disease, and you know, all kinds of things. You know, 78, whatever. This is, you know, that's fine. We talked about
I don't have to take it completely out.
recording Oliver Sacks this year, published his last book, April 28, 2015, On the Move, which is an autobiography. Featured a picture of him on a motorcycle with a jacket George Rock was admiring his tailoring.
Yeah, he's sexy.
Yeah.
What an
Yeah.
incredible picture.
I know. Love it.
Well, even though Steve,
No. Oh, my HDMI cable's plugged in. I was saying I'm gonna test it, see if it plugs all the way in, but we shall when it's probably not on the video and I don't have to make an ass of myself.
Yes, exactly. And so he said in this op-ed, I've been increasingly conscious for the last 10 years or so of deaths among my contemporaries. Obviously, I was 82. My generation is on the way out, and each death I felt is an approach to tearing away a part of myself. There will be no one like us when we are gone, and there's no one like anyone else ever. When people die, they cannot be replaced. They leave holes that cannot be filled. For it is the fate, the genetic and neural fate of every human being to be a unique individual, to find his own path, to live his own life, to die his own death.
Very profound. And I have to say, you know, the whole reason for the career that he had, and in a lot of ways, it's like, if I could have a career like that, I would absolutely take it in a heartbeat. A neurologist, you know, neuroscientist, explaining neurology to the masses, an author, you know.
Although this case is probably really wonderful, haven't booted it up yet. I will admit it is extremely cramped.
Yeah, and so respected just across the board.
And he achieved something that a lot of scientists, most, but the vast majority, never achieved, or should achieve, that the popular renown. You know, that a lot of just regular people knew who he was and knew of his work. He had millions of his books are in print. I mean, 1 million of them. It's been adapted for movies and for the stage. And so that's to me, that makes it, you know, even a little worse than like saying, where you have somebody who's reaching across divides that other scientists don't want to or can't reach across. And he was one of them, like I do that. Yeah, he had a talent, the desire to do that. That's a community. We celebrate people who popularize science well. And he
Very few people can write nonfiction, and it reads like fiction, and that's what always really attracted me to him.
I read a funny quote from him. He would receive about 10,000 letters a year. 10,000 letters. And he said that I invariably reply to people under 10, over 90, who are in prison. Invariably. Every time he replies.
That's amazing. Oh, and one random thought, because it just caught my mind as I was looking through Twitter. There was an episode of Star Talk Radio that I did. Probably the closest to Oliver Sacks was an episode of Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And Oliver Sacks wasn't in the studio with us, but he had previously done an interview with him. And so it was interspersed, and I got to hear all of this interview material for the first time in this episode. And Neil got him to the first time anybody had ever cursed on Star Talk. Oliver Sacks said shit. We had to believe him. And it was amazing.
All right. Let's move on. Jay, it's time for Who's That Noisy?
Yeah, so last week I played this sound. Now, Kara, I was hoping that you were just going to be so excited and say what it was. It was, maybe a dream of mine. And I know that you watched at least 5 or 6 movies this week just to check it out.
Oh, yes, because I had nothing else to do.
You just didn't stumble on this one. All right, well, we'll see what happens next week. So, you were taking the nootropics and were you so smart now?
For sure.
So fancy,
Yeah.
fancy. All right. So, what was that sound? Let me play the sound again.
It's the Willem scream.
Very, very wonderful sound. What is it? Bob, say it. I know you know what it is.
It's the weapon from Logan's Run.
Do you know any other information about that particular weapon?
Not really, Ted. I bet you researched it, didn't you?
It was an interesting effect because it was one of the few fantasy blasters where you could see the flash at the muzzle, and then you see the target, but it's invisible in between.
That's right, Steve. I thought that was interesting. The older version of me thought all of what you just said was very interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
Watching the movie.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll explain everything to you very quickly. It's called the Sandman DS gun from the Logan's Run movie in the 70s. The DS stands for deep sleep, which if you've watched the movie, you know that the gun has nothing to do with sleep and everything to do with killing people. So the guns that were produced for the movie actually shot a flame. And the actors were horrified.
Awesome.
And pretty much every scene that you see them shooting the gun, they're scared because they weren't sure even when the gun was going to work or not. It wasn't like, oh yeah, prayer, like that. Like it was like, is it going to work this time? I don't know, it didn't work. Is it going to work this time? So there was like a buildup of fear. The actors, it shot out these flames out of the muzzle. So I have so much more to say, Steve, and I'm sensing that I shouldn't because I could just totally blow half hour on this one gun. But it's an awesome looking prop. Take a look at it. The design is wonderful. The guy who designed it, I can't remember his name, but it's a really, really cool sci-fi gun. The movie ones and the effects are fantastic. The sound was unique. And let's hear it for the Sandman DS gun.
Yay!
You don't have that one in your collection, do you think?
I do not have one, and I know exactly where I can get one. And it's like $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the last one, and oh my god.
Oh no.
Anyway, yeah, stop. Okay, so on to the next one. What was that? Let's play it again. Very short sound effect.
I can tell you a movie right now, but I gotta hear it again.
Bob, you don't know shit. That's this week's blaster. Write me. Email me specifically at wtn@theskepticsguide.org. Tell me everything and anything you know about that sound you just heard.
Because that noisy is always going to be blasters, isn't it? Just like from now on, it's all blasters.
I'm just having fun for 3 or 4 episodes. This is all in anticipation of Star Wars, Steve. God damn it, Steve. This is all in anticipation of Star Wars coming out this December. No kid is too young. No person is too old. Go to the movie. Enjoy yourself.
It's time for science or fiction.
It's great to come up with 3 science news items or facts, 2 genuine and 1 fictitious.
Three
And
things.
challenge my panelists, skeptics to tell me which
This
one
is
is the fake. We have a theme this week. This is going to be a fun one. I like this one. The theme is
Blasters.
slang from the 1920s.
Oh, jeez.
Awesome.
And
Don't slip me a Mickey, Steve.
it's going to be 4 items to the 3.
Ironically, I prepared for that.
Good.
When did it?
So obviously, 3 of these are the actual slang from the 1920s, and 1 is not one I made up.
I wish I finished Great Gatsby.
Yeah, that would have helped a lot.
Okay, I'm going to do good at this.
You gonna do well? There you go. Item number 1, a canceled stamp is slang for a shy girl or a wallflower. Item number 2, blue nose was slang for someone who mooches off others in order to feign being wealthy themselves. Item number 3 is a jora of ski. A jora of ski is
slang for a swig of hard liquor. Swig of alcohol, especially hard liquor. And item number 4, the term bimbo dates back to 1919 and originally referred to a macho or brutish male, and only later came to refer to a woman. All right, Jay, you think you're going to do well, so why don't you go first?
The canceled stamp, you say, is a shy girl or a wallflower. I admit I have not heard this particular term, but it seems to come from the vernacular of layman. And I will concur with Bob, who I'm sure will agree henceforth that this one is probably bogus. But I will put that one on hold and move on to other ones. Okay, Blue Nose, someone who mooches off others in order to feign being wealthy themselves. That's a little complicated, don't you think? They mooch off other people to pretend as if they don't have money, so they don't have to, spend their money.
They keep up with the Joneses.
I really like the third one, the jorum of ski, a swing of hard liquor. I'm just going to say that one is science or fact. And the term bimbo, dating back to 1919 and originally referred to a macho or brutish male, I will also agree that that one is fact, science. So we're down to a canceled stamp with Blue Nose. I think the Blue Nose is the fake.
Any particular reason?
Yes, because I can kind of see where the canceled stamp comes from. But Blue Nose to me is just an oddball idea and a very odd turn of phrase.
Okay, Bob. Canceled stamp. I can kind of see that. The Blue Nose Day, that makes sense to me. It's like a play off of the expression of if you're blue blood. So so to me that makes a hell of a lot of sense to call somebody blue blood. Maybe too much sense. Because I have nothing to go on here. A bimbo that kind of is ringing a bell to me. I'm not sure. The jorum of ski just is such an awesome expression, but I just don't think Steve would just make that up. You gotta just go by gut feelings here with this crap. But, alright, I'm gonna go with Blue Nose because I think it's one that I think Steve would say, oh, that one will make sense, so they're not gonna pick it. So I'm not picking it. I'm saying that's fiction. Okay, Garrett? Tortured logic.
I literally have no idea. So the last one, the bimbo, seems like something I would have heard on Boardwalk Empire. Seems like you call it a dude a bimbo and that's bad. Or maybe it's good. I have no idea. I'm gonna say that one's true. It just sounds true. Oof. For me, it's between the top 3. Jorum of ski totally sounds like you just made it up, but also it totally sounds like you're taking a swig of some bootleg booze.
Yeah.
Just take a little jorum of ski. I'm gonna start using that.
Yeah, if that's real, I'm gonna say that all the time.
Yeah, seriously. So I'm gonna say that that's real because I hope it's real, and then it's gonna be between the canceled stamp and the Blue Nose. The weird thing is, I feel like I've heard the word Blue Nose before, and I've never heard canceled stamp. But that also makes me think maybe Blue Nose means something different, and I'm a lemon. So I'm gonna go with Blue Nose and say that's the one that's the fake.
Yeah. All right. So we have a consensus this week.
Wow, I don't know if that makes me feel good or not, but okay.
Let me take them in reverse order since you guys.
Why don't you? Steve?
Yeah, you guys seem to swing that way. So we'll start with number 4. The term bimbo dates back to 1919 and originally referred to a macho or brutish male, and only later came to refer to women or to a woman. That one, you guys all think that one is true, and that one is science. Science. Yeah, it's not a false memory. Awesome. Yeah. So, do you know what the origin of the word bimbo is?
Other than the fact that it was used the way that you described here, I don't know why it came about.
It derives from the Italian word bambino. For a boy. Bimbo, right? It's male, right? A female would be bimbo. Yeah, you're going off the Italian. So there's a reference to it being used that way in 1919, bimbo. And then the first reference to it being used to refer to a woman was in 1929, 10 years later. And then eventually it came to refer only to women.
This I don't need.
Male bimbo, the other terms.
I do.
Yeah, so it kind of came full circle a little bit. But yeah, so now like use the word bimbo though, that refers to like typically, but is like an archetype of uneducated or unintelligent and maybe a little slutty. That's kind of the connotation.
but originally referred to a guy. Alright, let's go to a jorum of ski. You guys all love that term. Jorum of ski for a swig of hard liquor. You all think that one is true, and that one is also science.
Yay!
Good. I think someone had just made that up.
Yeah.
Well, I usually don't make up things out of whole cloth. Like, I'll take it and mix it around. So
That's
the elements, maybe I wouldn't have made up that word, but I could have attached it to something else. Maybe, in fact, I did that. We'll see. So the word jorum probably comes from the Bible and refers to a mug made of specifically made of silver, but it could also then refer to the contents of the mug. But anyways, the jorum is probably like a tankard of ski being skied out. Well, I could not find the etymology of ski in the time that I had.
I thought it was whiskey.
Maybe you're right. Looking it up, I couldn't find a reference to what it was, but that makes a lot of sense. A jorum of ski. So that one is now, of course, in the 1920s, we're talking about prohibition, and there was so many slang and euphemisms for liquor proliferated during this time. You guys have heard of hooch. We're going to run through a bunch of other ones. Brown plaid, coffin varnish, hair of the dog, I think still is around today. Horse liniment, panther sweat. I've also read panther pee, rock nut, white lightning, monkey rock, tarantula juice, corn, giggle juice, shine, obviously snort, bootleg, belt, bust head, strike me dead, bathtub jet, mooch.
Whoa! It's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of different terms. But Jordan is speaking. Okay, so number 2. Blue nose, someone who mooches off others in order to be wealthy themselves. You guys all think this one is the fiction, and this one is the fiction.
Yeah!
Right. So, that of course leads to 2 questions. What does blue nose actually refer to?
So I did the power to the hard drives, plugged it in the power supply, organized some wires a little bit. I know it doesn't look like it yet, but it will benefit in the end.
Take a guess. What do you think? What does blue nose mean?
It's somebody suffering from frostbite of the face.
Very little, sure. Okay.
I think I'm going to keep these off. Fans incoming, sucks up, makes more sense.
Oh, because that's like what's the other?
Next thing I need to worry about
Yeah.
is the
That's where that.
I like that.
power to
I think
the
it's
processor.
negative. I think it's derogatory. Yeah, it sounds negative. So I'm gonna say a blue nose. It's maybe somebody who is like bummed out all the time, or somebody who's like not, kind of like not the life of the party. Like he's like bumming everybody out.
That is the closest to the correct answer. Yeah. So it is a party pooper, but it's somebody who's puritanical. And they're a party pooper because they're puritanical. Somebody who tries to impose a strict moral code onto others. They come from the Puritan blue laws. Maybe
Interesting.
origin of that.
I'm going to check my OCZ box to see if we have a non-split 4-prong for the processor.
Is a type of potato with a bluish skin grown in Nova Scotia.
As I do like OCZ power supplies, one thing to keep in mind is they literally tell you what to plug into what to get power from the power supply safely to the hard drive, which I don't think a lot of
I've never heard that.
CPU or power supply companies do, but I could be wrong about that. This is only my 2nd or 3rd power supply, I think.
I actually didn't know what it meant, I guess. Maybe in context.
Yeah. I also had a pooch. I do remember a pooch, but yeah, specifically the
That one doesn't work.
Okay,
This one doesn't work.
I actually just looked up.
So I only have a split.
This is where I
It's
got it
looking
from
like.
Urban Dictionary. It says it's someone who always brags about how many cops they know. I like to read. I love reading Urban Dictionary because there's a lot of funny crap on there. But
that's got to be a derivation of brown nose. Yeah, blue.
Yeah, that's certainly not today.
Like a modern.
Okay, alright, good. At least there was a legit memory.
Yeah, okay. Alright, all of that means that Kenton step was a term used to refer to a shy girl or a wallflower.
So I'm going to use the split cable. Like I said, I want red cables. It doesn't bother me that much. I'm just going to switch them out later on anyway. Just want it to get booting, working, gaming, programming.
Why do they talk? Why do you think about how people talked differently back then? Not just the words, because we totally get that, but it's even the way that they talked. That's right, Frankie.
Yeah, but how much of that is really a temporal accent and how much is a movie artifact? Yeah,
Well, you know what? I would recommend that you listen. I listened to a recording once by E.E. Cummings, and it was really funny because he was born in the U.S. Like, he's American, but he kind of had this air about the way that he talked, which I think was like a weird academic thing around the turn of the century, where people like sounded British to sound smart.
Yeah.
Well, that's I saw a very interesting documentary about accents, and it made the point that we think of regional accents, but in actuality, class accents are more dominant than regional accents. That a wealthy person in Boston sounds more like a wealthy person in London.
That's awesome.
Than either due to the lower classes in their own region. And when you think about that Boston, the open vowels, it's kind of like you think about what's his name from MASH, Charles Emerson Winchester. Yeah, that's that kind of upper crusty accent, New York or whatever it does. Anyway, it's very interesting.
In the U.S., we have a quote neutral accent that all broadcasters use, and actors have to adapt.
Atlantic.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's a couple of sites that are very, very funny, like just heavy slang, writing from the 1920s. Like the one site that I found in my research said, "How would you decipher the following sentence? The flim-flammer jumped into the flivver and faded. You dumb mug, get your mitts off the marbles before I stuff that mud pipe down your mush and tell your ball to hand over the Mazuma. The sucker with the schnozzle poured a slug out before he could scram out two chamooses showed him the ship and said they should send him over." So something like, what a ship is and a slug. Mazuma, you know what Mazuma is? It'll make sense at that time.
City in Montana.
Missoula. Money. Yeah, hand over the Missoula. Squirt metal,
What's a schnauzer?
No,
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. So we were going over some of these at dinner the other night. Yara was reading some of these from the 20s and then from the 1940s. And what was interesting is I recognized almost no lot of the slang from the 1920s and almost all of the slang from the 1940s.
movies.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like because of movies, that provides cultural continuity. But the 1920s are basically totally lost. That sort of granular culture of the 1920s is gone because it wasn't immortalized in movies. Is that the only reason, or was it just because we haven't? It's because our parents kind of knew the slang of the 40s. Yeah.
I also think it's like more. It was a time when literature would have been more gentlemanly. It was like off. It wasn't typical to put dialect in literature.
All right, so the CPU has power now. I'd show you the power supply, but it's the
Yeah, but I don't think we read that.
this particular case has a power supply skirt. So
the modern digital age speeds up or slows
I
down.
don't particularly like this cable.
I think it speeds it
If
up.
you look
Like, there are words that
right where I'm pointing the light,
like
I'll
they're in the
shut it a
dictionary
little off.
Twitter,
It's
right?
right to the left, or the right side upper of the water cooler. There's a plug in there, and that is the power to the processor. It's usually new builders always seem to forget to plug that in. I find it hilarious when I can call someone out for not knowing how to make a desktop, and I do.
I think, of course, we're going to be able to fold more words from other cultures in. Have you guys taken this New York Times quiz called "How Y'all Use and You Guys Talk"?
Yeah, I have not.
Anybody listening, and those of you who haven't, you have to take it. It's like 25 questions. It's an adaptive, interactive quiz that was based on all this data.
Now I'm going to do the power for the motherboard.
It's insane. Like 350,000 survey responses. When you take it, at the end it gives you a map of where you're from. And it did it for me. It gave me Plano, Plano, Texas,
I
and
think
2
that's
other
all.
towns
That's
that
it.
were less
We're
than
done.
10 minutes away from the town I grew up in. Not even
Wow.
Dallas. It gave me my suburb.
That's incredible.
It's
Wow.
insane.
I bet you it'll probably nail us because we happen to come from an area that has a recognizable, very one-town accent, you know?
There you go. And even if you've moved around a lot, I have friends who've done it where it'll say you're from Chicago and LA. Like it
Yeah,
knows
knows
where
where
you
you moved.
lived. It's
Oh,
crazy.
I gotta do that,
Yeah, I remember, Kara, it had me in 2 different places. One was definitely Connecticut and the other was New York.
Interesting.
Well, our mother's from New York and she infected us, that's why.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. What's the site, really quick?
It's if you look up y'all, yous, and you guys, it's a dialect quiz from the New York Times, an interactive dialect quiz, but it's called y'all, yous, and you guys talk.
Quick, it's a couple more, I have to mention a couple more slang. So what do you guys think a hay burner is? Oh,
A redneck?
no, hay burner is a car with gas mileage.
Oh,
A gas guzzler.
gas guzzler. Yeah.
What would somebody be doing if they say, I have to go iron my shoelaces?
Trying to skip out on a date, like I wash my hair.
Nope.
Oh.
Trying to sober up.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna go iron my shoelaces. Euphemism for going to the bathroom.
That's funny.
What does it mean if you say that somebody knows their onions?
That they are.
Knows their shit. They know what's up. They're savvy. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
They know their onions. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And this is a racist one, but I have to tell you. So what's noodle juice?
I'm like, I feel weird about it.
Noodle juice is your favorite drink.
No, noodle juice. Oh God, Steve, I think I read this recently.
Is it like cheap hooch?
No, it's tea. And now you understand why it's mildly racist.
That's not what I was thinking, but yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. It's funny.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Fascinating.
A Shiba. One last one. Shiba.
That's a dog. Shiba Inu. I have no idea.
Shiba is either someone's girlfriend or a sexually desirable woman. All right, guys. Well, you all did well. Congratulations. That was a fun one.
Yeah. I can't believe we got that right, because that was like a crack.
Yeah, it's correct. So I'm going to cover for Evan for the quote this week since Evan can't be with us. And I'm going to give you a quote from Oliver Sacks, who said, every act of perception is to some degree an act of creation, and every act of memory is to some degree an act of imagination. This is a great way of summarizing a lot of what we talk about, that our perception and memory is a creative process. It's not a passive process. An excellent way of describing, giving people an understanding of how our brains work.
All right, so I'll see you all you gizmos next week.
See you guys next week. All right, well, thank you all for joining me this week.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
And until next week, this is your Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe is produced by SGU Productions, dedicated to promoting science and critical thinking. For more information on this and other episodes, please visit our website at theskepticsguide.org, where you will find the show notes as well as links to our blogs, videos, online forum, and other content. You can send us feedback or questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. Also, please consider supporting the SGU by visiting the store page on our website, where you will find merchandise, premium content, and subscription information. Our listeners are what make SGU possible.
Hey, Startalk fans, did you know you can support us on Patreon, our crowdfunding platform where fans support creators they love? In return, exclusive reports of behind the scenes of Bass Tyson and guest after Startalk live shows, attending the Startalk holiday party, inside access to our Patreon activity feed, and more. Plus, you'll have the satisfaction helping Startalk will continue to bring you all the science, celebrities, and comedy. Hey, Startalk Patron is a
We find ourselves
paper sacks, we at Star Talk decided to resurrect this episode featuring my interview with him at his home in New York City. When I think of Oliver, he was kind of like a fireside scientist, someone who would go out and make discoveries, do research in the lab, and come back and tell you stories about it. And every story he told was interesting. It's kind of like the fun uncle you wish you had. Everything was interesting, and I think it's because he was the juxtaposition of mind, body, and soul. Not only that, we had a shared interest in the periodic table of elements. All the stories behind how each element was discovered, where they were discovered, whether they were poisonous or gaseous or liquid. I'll not soon forget.
All right. So if I were to do this, it should post now. The fans are plugged in, but I'm expecting to do that afterwards. Anyone that watched?
Welcome back to Star Talk Radio. I'm your host and astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson. This week,
I really appreciate it.
brain, and I had to bring in
And
for that. Chuck, welcome back to Star Talk. Hey, Neil.
thanks.
Can't get enough of you, man. Hey, I don't play.
If you stop by.
So it's about the brain.
Later.
Brain is
See you gaming.